This is Gamer Weekly, bringing you the latest of what the video game scene has to offer. On today's episode of Gamer Weekly, I have Tommy and Jonathan from Confused Studios, and we'll be talking about their game Deep Below. All right, and welcome to another episode of Gamer Weekly. And with me today is Tommy and Jonathan from Confused Studios. Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So, you guys just released a game for free on Steam, and it's called Deep Below.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is Deep Below?
So Deep Below is a first-person adventure exploration game with VR integration, Oculus Rift to be more precise. And it's free on Steam, and it's a student game. It's a first game. And yeah, so it's a pretty good game, I'd say.
So you guys, you based the game around Oculus Rift. Like, so when you were creating it, was Oculus Rift like that's what you guys wanted to do, or was that something that got implemented later?
I got implemented later. But like, it was an interesting proposition by our teacher. And we thought that would make the game more interesting and more unique. So yeah, we decided on that.
Yeah. And the feedback of the game with the Oculus was good enough to just sort of continue with it.
And so, what kind of challenges did you find making a game with the Oculus Rift?
I think the most important one was the UI, like the interface, because we started off with the traditional 2D based interface with like cool little a steampunky style of gouges and stuff like that, and that didn't work at all in VR. It kind of like just 2D plane in VR doesn't work. So we moved to having some of the information we needed the player to know on the gauntlet. So we have a gauntlet in the game that lets the player kind of do super cool abilities and like jump super far and stuff like that. And so there's a energy system, and we basically displayed that on the gauntlet with little lights that with like 5 lights, and they light up depending on how much energy you have. And then we have sound being like sprinting. We had like a sprinting bar originally, and now the character will breathe heavier when he's like out of sprinting energy. So that was very interesting to work with and kind of reimagine, like having like that's the big appeal of VR for developers, is like just there's like relatively nothing has been done before in like VR games. So you have to devise new solutions to new problems.
And so it gives you like a better immersion into the game that was previously not capable, a couple of years back, where you could use, you have your crazy computer and all that stuff, and you have like these intense graphics, but like you guys are using the craziest graphics right now, at least in the current state, because it's Unreal 4 engine. And did you guys find how did you feel about using the Unreal 4 engine in your game?
Well, Johnny could talk to you about this, but it was like, I mean, I'll start, and then you can continue. But so we were trained with UDK, which is a modified version of UE3, which is the previous engine, and that was like a big step up and a big, like much more intuitive and much more interesting. And like you have a visual blueprint, which is like lets you code without coding, and also like lets you do a lot of very cool graphic effects, but the game doesn't use that much effects because we have a very stylized graphics, and we didn't need too much of the UE4 capabilities, but the tool in itself and the interface and the ease of use was very much appreciated.
From an audio standpoint, it's the way the integration works with Unreal Engine is very, very, very minimal. You can't really do much in terms of creating a world that's immersive. And so like originally we had all the sound effects, all of the music was integrated directly into Unreal, and then we wanted to, at least I did. I wanted to use this audio middleware called Wise, because it's sort of like the industry standard. EA uses it, Ubisoft uses it, all of the studios use this for audio integration. But because of how old the project was, we had to go back to a Wise integration from, what was it, version 54, 57 or something like that. And so Wise has to be built from source code, Unreal has to be built from source code, and it just became a pain, and we didn't actually end up releasing with that.
So okay, yeah, because it seems like that's a really I would say taxing graphics to use. Like you would need a really good system to be able to play said game. If using Unreal something like that, because you would need like the craziest graphics card and stuff, and I mean, if you have Oculus Rift, you're already like, I've got like dual 1080 GTX graphics cards and 300 million gigabytes of RAM, and that kind of stuff. And so what inspired you guys to make a game like Deep Below?
Well, it started off as so Garrett, which was the lead for the team, had this idea of underground exploration, which was very simple but very inspiring, and then we slowly built up on top of that, adding a crafting system and adding more environmental effects, like basically really trying to create an atmosphere around the player, and like the addition of VR really pushed us in that direction as well. Garrett and I were very big fans of exploration in games, like just simple walking simulators, and like for the good and bad they can be, they're just very relaxing and sometimes awe-inspiring. Like one of my favorite experience playing a game was playing Proteus. I don't know if you know this game.
Which game was it?
It's like Proteus.
Oh wait, is that the one where it's like all pixelated and stuff, and like it's like really calm, relaxing music playing, and you're kind of just like ski around?
Yeah, and it's a very simple game on the surface, but there's just a shit ton of details that makes it very special, like for the person who experiences it, and it really like achieves creating a connection between the player and the designer. I guess we were trying to like create awe-inspiring environments, even though I think in the end we came up short because it's just we just had a student mindset of like, yeah, we can work our asses off and do the best game ever, but in the end, like, it's just the hard lessons you learn while being a student. But I think we did create like very cool environments, and I think our past selves would be proud of us for achieving that.
And I mean, the fact that the game is free as well is like, I mean, it's if anything, it's a really nice foot in the door of like, hey guys, we make games, and then it's like, okay, cool. this is something we're capable of, and then you make something that's even crazier than the last game, and people are like, holy crap, look at these guys.
Right. Yeah.
So are you guys deciding on like what you guys want to do yet? Are you gonna make another game, or because I know this was made for school, are you guys gonna focus more on school at the time being and maybe release a new game eventually, or are you guys already working on something?
Well, I think we're just as with like student projects, most of the time we're just going our separate ways. We did try start another project with more people than the original team. But it's just the like everyone going, like having to find jobs to like sustain themselves and having like a normal life was just too much pressure to like really like form a group and create a game. So yeah, so we're just going our separate ways.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys find what you're looking for. And if anything, when you guys create different studios, or if you guys end up making a studio later on, that works too. But yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on to the show. Everybody check out Deep Below. It is free, and it is required that you have a headset. So
Oculus Rift as well.
Oculus.
We don't have a Vive support.
Yeah, so you has to be Oculus Rift. If you've got a Vive, throw it in the trash. Get a Rift.
Exactly. Burn it.
Unless you can afford both, then what do you do? Like, what
then
do you do for
Give it to a homeless man.
Yes, give it to me. I'm almost homeless. Like, I mean, I live somewhere, and I'm not homeless, but I don't have one. So just act like I'm homeless.
Cardboard box.
Yes. I have a cardboard box actually set up outside of the studio, so just drop it in there, and you guys will be good to go. So
you have like a mic drawn up with like a pen on the cardboard box, and you just talk through it, and it's like, yep. I'm a like show host.
It's like I don't know if you guys are familiar with SpongeBob at all, but it's kind of like the imagination box. Everyone just sits in there and you imagine it's your Oculus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the new immersive experience. I think a lot of people haven't capitalized on the adventures in a box thing yet. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming onto the show. And check out Deep Below. It's a pretty cool game, and make sure that you have a VR support. Make sure you have an Oculus Rift before you decide to install it. So,
thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, and if you guys want to share the show, do it. What is stopping you? Absolutely nothing. That's what. And we'll see you guys. Well, I won't see you. You'll hear from me, and maybe I'll hear from you next week. All right, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to this week's Gamer Weekly. This is Justin Bannister signing off.